Night hushes the city as a taxi idles by a pier veiled in gentle fog. Headlights paint slow halos on damp asphalt, and breath becomes a small cloud drifting upward like a lantern. A quiet shape approaches and opens the back door, settling into the shadows with the softest rustle. The engine hums like a lullaby, steady and low. In the rearview mirror, the outline sits motionless, serene, almost part of the mist itself. The city slides by as if on velvet rails, buildings dissolving into silver air. A destination is whispered without words, felt more than heard. A gentle tug, a direction. The driver follows the suggestion like a tide follows the moon. Street signs blur, and raindrops drift slowly across the glass, unhurried and kind. Within the cabin, air grows subtly fragrant, like rain on warm stone. A barely there chime circles the space, a tone that comforts without source. The road unspools into a soft ribbon, easy and forgiving. The figure in back tilts slightly, as if listening to something outside human hearing. Streetlights pass in unbroken rhythm, like lighthouses guiding a ship. The city's heartbeat slows in quiet companionship. A distant bridge emerges, an arc of pearl hung over ink. Tires sigh over the roadway, and the cabin becomes a cocoon of steady warmth. A sense of vastness waits ahead, welcoming rather than grand. Fog deepens, and the world narrows to a halo of light and the drone of a peaceful engine. The outline in back seems lighter, edges loosening like steam. Breathing aligns with the rhythm of the road. A shimmer slips across the ceiling fabric, a faint constellation blooming and fading. The air carries a hush of distant shores, gentle and unfamiliar. Comfort settles in, patient as a hand resting on velvet. The road curves through sleeping warehouses, their doors like quiet mouths. The presence in back leans closer to the glass, tracing nothing, drawing everything. Somewhere a buoy bell sounds, round and low. A traffic light hangs, suspended in milk-white air, blinking a kind, unhurried green. The car moves on, carrying a small universe of breath and calm. The presence remains, peaceful as a cloud caught in amber. Street by street, the city thins to quiet lanes, stitched with hedges and sleeping trees. The mist smells of wet leaves and distant tides. The back seat feels like a shoreline where waves lap without hurry. A gentle understanding radiates from the rear. No rush, no worry, only arrival woven into each turn. The dashboard clock seems to slow, respecting the hush. Every breath becomes a smooth stone in the pocket. The road crowns a low hill, revealing a luminous sheet of fog in the valley, lit from within. The figure in back is both present and transparent, a kindness shaped like a person. The car's hum is the only sound for miles. A soft pulse rises and falls in the cabin, like tide on a moonless night. The steering wheel seems lighter, guiding itself along the thread of quiet. The presence approves, a smile felt rather than seen. An overpass appears, its underside glimmering with dew, like a chandelier woven from rain. The car glides beneath, each droplet a silver bell. Inside, the air is safe and slow. The presence shifts, not closer, not farther, simply wider, as if the cabin has more sky than roof. Musicless harmony fills the space, an unseen chorus humming of home. The road accepts the wheels without complaint. Harbor cranes stand like sleeping birds, their outlines softened by mist. The car passes their quiet forest of limbs, tiny red lights blinking like patient stars. The back seat seems lighter by a feather. A warmth collects around the headrest, as if the night itself offers a shawl. The presence carries the scent of distant rain, clean and bright. Windows bead with calm. Street names blur into poetry. Drift, harbor, hush, tide. The presence listens as the tires whisper them, syllable by syllable. Every corner is a gentle page turn. A soft glow blooms within the fog, not ahead, but around, as if the night has remembered a lamp. The presence lightens further, a thought beginning to rise. The car proceeds as if floating on a calm inlet. The seat fabric cools slightly, then warms like a tide brushing a shoreline bench. The presence is a hush within a hush, never demanding, always guiding. Ahead, a faint beam wavers like a handkerchief waving welcome. Overhead, wires hum gently, a lullaby strummed across the sky. The presence hums back, a harmony of kindness. The city's edges gather like a blanket pulled up to the chin. A crosswalk drifts into view, its paint soft as chalk dust. The car glides over each stripe like a slow breath. The presence brightens, tender as dawn behind closed eyes. In the rear view, something like a star field gathers where the head meets the rest. It is gentle, never blinding, constructed of patience. The engine agrees, lowering to a purr. A bend reveals a canal, bordered by reeds swaying in slow motion. The presence feels river-like now, flowing without moving. The fog becomes a companion, not a veil. One by one, distant windows wink awake, not with activity, but with calm acceptance. The night is a hammock under a generous tree. The presence radiates gratitude that needs no words. At a quiet roundabout, the car circles once, then again, a slow dance within a pearl. The presence lightens further, as if the circle has polished it. Breathing synchronizes with the curved motion. The world narrows to raindrops and velvet road, then expands to include a far, gentle horizon. The presence is almost a fragrance now, the shape softened to kindness alone. The destination feels near the moment it is not needed. A tiny tone chimes from nowhere, like porcelain lightly touched. The cabin air ripples with a soft wave and settles even calmer than before. The fog parts a little to allow a moon the color of cream. The road stretches ahead in a mild, generous line. The presence seems to notice the moon and hums in agreement. Or perhaps the moon hums back. Either way, the moment is a cradle. Water beads trail down the side window like script written by rain. The presence reads it without eyes, and the letters say only rest. There is relief without reason, permission without demand. A soft turn leads to an overlook where fog collects like low stars. The presence shifts and becomes almost weightless, a breath returning to sky. The engine idles, steady as a heartbeat at peace. The cabin's fabric, the wheel, the mirrored glass, each holds a little warmth left by passage. The presence seems to place something gentle into that warmth. A quiet yes. The night nods back. A far horn drifts across the water, slow and low. The presence answers with silence that feels like a reply. The road invites a return to motion without insisting. Back onto the lane, the car continues, and the fog resumes its friendly escort. The presence thins to filaments of light, kind threads woven into air. The cabin becomes a nest of hush. Between buildings, a mural of waves appears, painted in pale blues and pearly whites. The presence lingers on it, and for a moment the painted sea moves with slow grace. The car passes, carrying the motion inside. The presence now is a calm current flowing through the cabin, neither strong nor weak, only steady. Tiny motes drift in the glow like seeds that want nothing. Breathing deepens, shoulders loosen. Up ahead, a waterfront park emerges, its benches wearing coats of dew. The car glides by, and one lamppost leans a little, as if to listen. The presence hums a farewell that is not departure. A thin beam of light, soft as breath, crosses the back seat and dissolves. In that place, the fabric holds a memory of warmth. The presence is now everywhere and nowhere, like fog within fog. A gentle pull suggests another turn, a softened intersection where signs are suggestions and time is unmeasured. The car obeys with pleasure, tires whispering thank you. The presence glows like a lantern kept under a shawl. Down a slope toward the waterline, the mist grows luminous from within. The presence is featherlight now, nearly a breeze, a sensation of being guided, yet already home, fills the chest. At a quiet pier, planks gleam with a lacquer of rain. The car pauses, engine a tender murmur. The presence waits, patient as low tide. Without a sound, the back seat grows lighter, as though air has taken on the shape of a gentle departure. Yet the space remains full of kindness, a cushion left behind. The fog thickens, protective and soft. The car resumes, following a curve that feels familiar from a forgotten story. In the mirror, only softly glowing upholstery, and still the sense of presence continues, diffused and tender. Street trees arch overhead, their wet leaves whispering in a language made of rest. The wheels keep time, unhurried. The presence becomes the rhythm itself, gentle and sure. A lighthouse far off blinks, and with each blink the fog seems to breathe. The cabin breathes with it, a small universe aligning to a larger one. Comfort nestles into every seam. The road levels and narrows, guiding toward a gentle causeway across still water. The presence hovers like a blessing, weightless and complete. Night gathers around with soft hands. Somewhere within the fog, a shape mirrors the car, moving beside in graceful tandem. It is no one and everyone, a companion made of light. The presence smiles again, a feeling like warm rain. A quiet fairy horn answers, slow as a long inhale. The road and water briefly agree to be the same smooth surface. The presence loosens like a knot releasing without tugging. Over the causeway, the car returns to cobblestones, their soft clatter rounded by damp air. The back seat is empty in the way a shoreline is empty, filled with traces. The presence resides in those traces. A small cafe sleeps behind steamed glass. Inside, a string of warm bulbs stays on for no one in particular. The car passes, carrying the glow like a pocketful of suns. On a side street, a mural of a moonlit field ripples slightly as the fog drifts. The presence flickers in sympathy, a rustle within the heart. The car moves as a whisper moves. A whisper of sea salt rides the air again, mingled with the scent of warmed upholstery. The presence rests in that blend, neither arriving nor leaving. Rest sits down inside the chest and stays. The car coasts to a scenic overlook where the city wears a shawl of pearl. The mist parts just enough to show a line of harbor lanterns. The presence hums a phrase like welcome, like thank you. In the rear view, the seat holds only a slight depression that slowly rises like a tide returning sand. The air grows lighter by a breath. Peace remains as the softest echo. The engine quiets further, settling into a purr that could be mistaken for waves. The presence is everywhere now, like the color of night itself. The road waits with patience unlimited. Soft rain begins, each drop a gentle finger on the roof. The presence strokes the air in reply. Hear, rest, breathe. Windows bloom with friendly nebulae of moisture. A small harbor kiosk appears. Shutters closed. A light left on for no reason but kindness. The car slips by like a thought passing through calm. The presence gathers itself as a feather gathers air. The road rises, then lowers, like a breath. Over the crest, a field of fog spreads, luminous and patient. The presence thins to an aroma of rain and starlight. At a quiet intersection, the car stops, though nothing demands it. Silence becomes a soft bell. The presence bows and expands, a circle without edge. Moving again, the car follows the shoreline, where water and sky are the same gentle shade. The presence is a kindness drawn across the horizon. Nothing is urgent. Everything is welcome. A low breakwater holds sleeping gulls, their shapes softened to commas. The presence pauses there, touching each with quiet light. The car passes, trailing a ribbon of calm. On the far side of town, a hill with wind-tussled grass sways like slow breath. The presence moves with it, barely seen, deeply felt. The engine's murmur becomes the sound of sleep beginning. Another bridge, lower than the last, carries the car over a canal of silk. The presence empties of weight and fills with glow. Somewhere linseed and salt and rain share a cup. Near the harbor rail, a lone bench holds pearls of water that do not fall. The presence lingers there, then returns as a memory made of touch. The car continues, held like a shell holds a hum. A soft hitch in the fog reveals faint shapes aloft. Not machines, more like thoughts with wings. They drift, content to be unnamed. The presence hums, and the air answers with ease. The car slows by a quiet quay, where ropes breathe against wood. The presence becomes shoreline and sky, interior and road, single and everywhere. A deep peace settles like silt in clear water. For a moment, time arranges itself into a circle. Arrival and departure share a seat. The presence dissolves into that circle as sugar into warm tea. The cabin glows with after silence. The back seat is empty, and also not empty. It holds the clear imprint of kindness. The engine's purr is steady, the night generous. The fog lifts enough to reveal a gentle path home. A final harbor light bows, and the car bows back with its beams. The presence remains as warmth, as breath, as the quiet offered by an open hand. The road accepts this offering and gives it back in smoothness. Crossing familiar streets, the city becomes a constellation of resting places. The presence is the star between the stars, the soft pause between notes. Inside the cabin, stillness blooms like a slow flower. Rain eases, leaving the world lacquered and luminous. The presence is now indistinguishable from the night's gentle pulse. Every turn leads to comfort, every breath to shore. The car pulls beside the first pier again, where the journey began as a whisper. The back door, closed all along, glows faintly, as if just touched. The presence says thank you in the language of ease. The world is unchanged and entirely different. Fog, water, wood, light. The cabin holds a hush that can be worn like a shawl at any hour. The engine idles without impatience. Somewhere above, clouds part enough to show a single, gentle star. The presence gathers around that star as if it were a hearth. The road waits, soft and ready. Breath by breath, the night teaches the easy art of floating. The presence is now a lesson remembered by the body. The city listens with closed eyes and smiles. The car turns its wheel toward rest, carrying the soft imprint of what has been and what has always been. The presence remains as a calm tide within. Outside, the fog thins, patient and kind. In the mirror, only the soft outline of a seat, empty as a promise fulfilled. The engine's hum becomes a blanket. The road ahead is gentle as a hand over tired eyes. The city exhales, faint and content. The presence exudes from every light, every puddle, every quiet branch. Sleep walks beside the car, unafraid and welcome. At last, the pier, the harbor, the lanes, and the overlooks fold into one calm memory. The presence is the thread that stitches it all together, soft, bright, and kind. The engine slows to a whisper that may continue after silence. Fog returns to its own slow drift, no longer needed as veil or guide. The cabin holds a warmth that does not fade quickly. Somewhere, a buoy bell sounds once, like a good night spoken with a smile. The journey begins again by simply breathing, and the road accepts this with grace. The presence is within that breath, endless and gentle. Night lays its soft hand over the eyes of the world.